The Rams are going to win the Super Bowl in 2025, and we're going to tell you exactly why. Plus, bold predictions for the Rams 2025 season and a player that's going to lead this team in interceptions that you would never guess. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams, free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you haven't yet, do us a huge favor, subscribe to the Locked On Rams YouTube channel. Try to get to 19,000 subscribers before opening day this weekend, September 7th, against the Texans. So subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you want to support every single episode, hit the like button, drop a comment down below. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. I've covered LA sports for over a decade, 24/7 sports, Bleacher Report, SI, Dodgers Nation. As always, I'm joined by the Rams pre-half and post-game show host for the Rams flagship radio station, ESPN 710 LA. Also, the host of the DeMarco and Travis afternoon show on ESPN LA. I Googled the official title, so I try to get the name.
Good job.
All right. Do my homework. So, hey, I listened to it yesterday. It's a banger. If you guys don't listen to it yet, join it. You can also podcast it as well. So definitely go listen to the great DeMarco Farr of Rams legend, a big-time Rams legend. So go check that out. Today's episode, we got more reasons why the Rams will win the 2025 Super Bowl. We've got bold predictions we are going to get into as well. But first, today's episode of Locked On Rams brought to you by Mazda. Just like there's more to every player, more dedication, more attention to detail, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Stay tuned later in the episode for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. All right, Travis, so we've kind of gone deeper. We've kind of gone on the surface for reasons why the Rams can win the Super Bowl in 2025. This next one that we'll start with today is as surface level as you can get, and that is that their head coach is Sean McVey. And we know that he's a Super Bowl winning head coach.
Yep.
Been a couple Super Bowls. This guy really, save for injury-plagued seasons, just does not flop. He really doesn't miss when he has a healthy roster. And look, there's no doubt about it. He's a guy that I think understands, too, the window that he has with this current group. And I think there's a major sense of urgency with this group to go out and chase another Super Bowl.
I do too. And I think you are exactly right to bring this up first, because what you said about windows, and he understands his window with, Matthew Stafford. He understood his window with Aaron Donald. And I think you're spot on. But I've thought about this a lot, DMAC. And I think the window for the Rams to win championships is Sean McVay. And you look, you got to get him good players, and you got to get him good assistant coaches, and you got to get a little lucky, like we've talked about. You got to be healthy and all that stuff that comes along with it. But he brings something to the table that I've talked about on this pod. I've talked about on Locked On Dodgers pod. I've talked about on my radio show. Basic competency is really hard to find. And what I mean by that is just, do you do it right? Do your players know what you're asking them to do? Do you put them in a position to succeed? Do you give yourself every advantage that's possible to have? And the answer with Sean McVay is yes, 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 and yes. He just doesn't miss. Now, sometimes they're going to have a bad game plan. Sometimes he's going to make a decision that we're going to talk about on this pod and say, I don't understand what it was there. But generally speaking, he does not miss, and his teams function really well. They don't do nonsense. They don't do drama, and that is the window. And every time that dude is on the sidelines, they got a chance to win that game, win that division, win a playoff game, and maybe even win a Super Bowl.
There's no doubt about it, and that's the best thing, too. Is like he really doesn't miss, and what I love, a stat I love about Sean McVay is he has reached the Super Bowl more than he's had sub 500 seasons as the Rams head coach, dating all the way back to 2017. It's not like it's like 3 years, right? I mean, he's been here for a while. More times reached the Super Bowl than he did at that sub 500 team. And also, too, I mean, look, this is a team that no one expected to make it back anywhere after it felt like a tear down, a little bit of a rebuild there. Then Aaron Donald goes down, and you've had some slow starts in back-to-back seasons, 1-3-6, then 1-4, and you're still able to make it to the playoffs, win a division, win a playoff game. But how about this? Like, if you asked me, if like, hey, you're like, hey, if I could switch coaches, like if you offered me Jim Harbaugh, if you offered me Mike Tomlin, if you offered me Andy Reid, I really wouldn't even have to think about it. I really would not, right? And of course, you know, ESPN LA, the power rankings of LA coaches, right? I think Sean McVay is like number one. Like with a bullet.
It's not
non-biased number one, right? Yeah. Who's number two though? We all know number. I wasn't asking for number one. I'm asking you for number two. Is it Jim Harbaugh, Dave Roberts, JJ Redick? We know Deshaun Foster is last, but who would you have as number two?
I think it's got to be Dave Roberts. I just the winning. Now I get it. His roster is ridiculous. He's loaded up with talent, but they win their division every year. They go to the playoffs every year. They win near 100 games every year. And maybe you could put a mannequin in the dugout that would get you the same thing. I don't know, but at least he's not screwing it up. So I think it's got to be Dave.
Yeah, I think your Locked On Dodgers crowd's going to love that take. I've always said about Dave that he had to win 2 to win 1 to win over the fan base that doubt him. Now it feels like he has to win 3 to win 1. I don't know what he has to do.
Yeah, I would like to know why it's his fault that Edgardo Henriquez can't throw the ball over the plate, but that's the discussion. We talk about Harry and I talk about
down that rabbit hole. All right, we'll get a third box for Ruiz. We'll get into him here, but next reason I think, and this one's kind of a little bit of a lighter one that we kind of touched on just a second ago, is for whatever reason, this team plays their best football at the end of the season. They really have this great feel to just, if there's injuries, that you get guys right at the right time. If there's chemistry issues, if it's just kind of putting it all together offensively and defensively, they do it at the end of the year. They've done that for 2 consecutive seasons, and that's definitely what you want. The last thing you want is a team that peaks early and then just kind of fighting to find what you had early on this season, but that's not the case with this Rams team. Hopefully, though, having said that, I want some more consistency throughout this season so you don't have to fight and scratch and claw your way just to win the division, but still be able to level up when it matters most in the postseason.
I think it goes together with what we were just talking about. It's McVay. It's McVay's coaches. It's the more film that they get on their opponents, the better prepared they are, the better game plans that they can devise, put their players in a better position. And then just simply they're coaching their guys throughout the season. Their guys are better in week 8 than they were in week 1. They're better in week 12 than they were in week 8. They're better in week 17 than they were in week 12. They continue to level up through the course of the season. You know, we've seen other teams that always kind of do the exact opposite. What up, Chargers? That every single season they're always there, and then all of a sudden at the end of the season they crater and they play their worst football at the worst possible time. And it's just that I think it's coaching. I think it's culture. I think it's all of these things that you're better at the end of the season because you're working throughout the season. You're making small adjustments throughout the entire season. You're realizing what your players don't do well, and you stop asking them to do it or putting in a position where they need to do it frequently. And I think it comes back to right what we were talking about before. And not, by the way, and give Sean McVay most of the credit for this, but not all of the credit. All his entire staff gets credit for this as well. They're just really well coached by the time you get into, by the time we're to Thanksgiving, and oftentimes by about Halloween, Doug, they are cranked up. They are playing their best football, and not every team in the league can say that.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to their player development too, because his last couple of years have featured young players that they've relied upon. That, I mean, early on in 2024, no one knew who Puka Nacua was, and then he emerged as a star. Then last year, Jared Verse, there was some hype around him, but I don't think anyone expected the number 19 pick to win the Defensive Player of the Year as a rookie. I mean, a rookie Defensive Player of the Year. And then you got Braden Fisk and Kobe Turner. So you see this every single year with this Rams team, is these young guys that they're developing early on, and then the light starts to turn on towards midway through the season, and it just kind of carries them. And then you combine that with the veterans, they could kind of see that postseason, that playoff light at the end of the tunnel when it's kind of winning time. And yeah, it has led to one playoff win, right? But I think the difference this year is they have the experience, they have the talent, and they can also do that too, is play better at the end of the year and hopefully put themselves just in a better position to get to the Super Bowl, right? No one wants to play a wild card game. No one wants to go to Philly and play in the snow. So I think that's a big part of it too.
That's a great point. That one of the things that they've been really good at has also allowed them to make, I don't want to say, slow start intentionally, because I don't think it's that, but they know that they can hit the gas at the end of the year. It would be nice to see them get off to a slow start. So if that, that divisional round game, instead of in the snow, is on a fast track in SoFi, that's good news. And just been having to go to play Washington or having to go into Detroit, which we know can be a rowdy environment. God forbid it's a place like Lambeau Field or something like that you would really rather not. So I'm with you. Getting off to a good start this season matters more than it might typically.
100%. Coming up next, the Rams could have 5 new Pro Bowlers this season. We got that and other bold predictions. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
This is Mazda's Moving the Game Forward, brought to you by those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it is about redefining it, because these moments do more than just win. They push what's possible. They remind us to go that extra yard, shift into that extra gear, and keep the game forward, right? Keep moving that game forward. And this is what we're talking about with Sean McVey. This is what we're talking about, how every single season, they're a little better than the year before. Every week, they're a little better than the week before. This is what they do. This is what defining greatness is about. This is about moving it forward with this particular team, with this particular coach, with this particular group of guys each and every season. And he never ever takes his foot off the gas. And that is what keeps fans and players alike moving forward, always chasing that next great moment. And the Rams, they are going to provide us with a whole bunch of those. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Okay, so now I have Supply House. Okay, here we go. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting on projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. So you need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. That is an absolute game changer. And their Trademaster perks, like priority shipping and dedicated support, make the whole process smoother, right? So join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code HNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service.
And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday, free and available wherever your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. By the way, Travis, that has to be the best car jingle of all time, right? The zoom, zoom, zoom. I mean, that was in my head for like 20 straight years.
That's a pretty good one.
It's an all-time great. The zoom, zoom, zoom. I like Chevy's Like a Rock too. That was pretty
You
dramatic.
took it out of my mouth. The Bob Seger Like a Rock was.
That's probably the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
That could bring you to tears. You know, it's like
It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like a man.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so here in our next segment, we're going to throw out some bold predictions. Go through these bold predictions for the 2025 season. And the first one, I don't know about this one, but I'm just going to start off with it. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to start more than just the we're resting all the starters game at the end of the season. So 2 games for Jimmy G getting a start. And even if that, I mean, I'm looking at this not as, Kawhi Leonard's in the conversation today. I'm looking at it as more load management than, it's because Matthew Stafford's hurt, right? So I think that's a weapon they can take advantage of.
So I'm glad you clarified the load management thing and not the tree service that pays you $28 million not to show up. That's just something I need. I'm looking for. Like, if anybody's interested in hooking me up with that, I'll do that too. I will sign up for that. That's an interesting number you have. 2 games for Jimmy G. I think I would take the over Wow. I really do. I think that for partially the reason that you suggested, Doug, which is, load management, that maybe there's, an opportunity for them just to get him off his feet. But I also think that bad back is not nothing. I think that's, until I see him play a month or two and look like Matthew Stafford, I'm going to always in the back of my mind thinking that thing might flare up again. I hope to be wrong. I hope the number of games that Jimmy G plays is either 0 or, close to 0, or like they did last year against Seattle, like you mentioned. But I have a feeling we're going to see Garoppolo at some point this season. It just feels like this is the year that Matthew Stafford can't answer the bell 17 times.
Yeah, and I think, too, we've kind of seen Matthew Stafford and Sean McVey almost kind of like prepare fans for this with their comments saying, oh, yeah, he's ready to go, this and that, but backs are tricky. Backs, when you wake up, you can feel differently and this and that. So I think that if he doesn't play, that could also be an indication of how good the season is going, right? I mean, if Matthew Stafford has to play every game, then it could be, oh, we lost games early, we need to stay up to par in the division and we don't want to lose ground and this and that. But if he's not playing, it could be a move where, okay, like he feels something, they're kind of comfortable with it, and you're looking long term where it's, we're just fighting to keep the season afloat.
Yeah, it's funny because the NFL is the one sport where you really can't load manage. In the NBA, you got 82 games, and guys that play 50 games are considered, Iron Men. Major League Baseball, they play every day, so you can kind of take any one of them off here or there, and it's not a big deal. But in the NFL, you only get 17 of these, and rarely are you in a position where you're so far ahead that you can just kind of throw up your hand and say, it really doesn't matter what's going to happen here. For the reasons that we talked about a minute ago, seeding and home field advantage and all that stuff is certainly important in the NFL, but it would be nice if they had the opportunity to, the other way you could do it is simply maybe not by games, but by quarters that, get some big leads, get him out of the game in the fourth quarter. If you can do that. I know that's something he would probably hate. I know he's one of those guys that likes to take every snap and every practice and never let anybody else, take his spot. But having, some fourth quarters with a baseball cap on would not be the end of the world.
Well, I thought about that too, right? I mean, as far as like you can't load manage in the NFL because of the schedule, like you point out, the number of games. But I also think too, like Matthew Stafford is so tough that he'd be willing to play through anything, right? He'd play through anything if he could. So it's almost kind of a thing we got to help him, save him from himself. And if he's at 70% and there's a risk of making that worse and the season being completely over because of a bad hit, then you might consider. I think it's more of like, oh, like we got this Jimmy Garoppolo dude. Like, let's take advantage of this luxury. Let's take advantage of one of the better backups in the league and make that investment kind of pay off a little bit. And then it pays dividends in the postseason, in the playoffs when he's healthier. So we'll see how it plays out. I mean, I'm hoping he plays all 17 games, throws for 5,000 yards, wins the MVP, right? I mean, that'd be my hope, right? But I do think that I kind of just bring this up to point out that just because he's playing on Sunday doesn't mean like this whole thing is gone. It's kind of like
I heard this for the first time a few weeks ago, and I think I've said it 100 times since then because it's a perfect description. No one used to have a bad back. It's once you have it, you have it, and it never goes away. And it's some days it's less problematic than others, but it's always lurking. It's always out there. This is a violent sport. And my co-host on DeMarco and Trav, DeMarco Farr, he was saying something that I thought was really spot on. It's not just that he's going to take some big hit and get flattened and not be able to get up because of his back, that, it could just be the fact of throwing a football 35 times a game and really letting it rip and the torque that comes along with it. That could be something that could set it off as well. So, he's at that point in his career where every game is, it's like, okay, let's see what happens today. I still think we got one of the best in the business. I still think that if you had to go win a game and he's your quarterback, you feel pretty good about it. But, it's a 17 game schedule. He's 37 years old and he hasn't looked like himself in a minute. Right. Or at least we haven't seen it since the end of the year last year. And with no preseason, no real work at practice that we can kind of evaluate meaningfully, it's going to be a question we talk about for weeks, if not months.
It absolutely will. Here's a non-bold prediction on Matthew Stafford. He will get the 191 yards he needs to get to 60,000 passing yards for his career. He'll reach that milestone. So I think that's going to happen this Sunday, which would be pretty awesome right there at the number 9 spot. It's kind of wild to say that number. It's just such a gaudy number, but I mean, he's crazy.
The 9th overall, that is really remarkable. The numbers are obviously whack because of the way that football's played now relative to the way it was played, in the 70s, 90s, and all that kind of stuff. But it's still 9th is 9th. I don't care how the game has changed. He's one of the greats, and the Rams fans are very lucky to have him.
Yeah, you got Marino, Ryan. I mean, Brady's at 89, 214, which is crazy. Breeze, Manning, Favre, Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, Rodgers. Yeah, it's an insane list. But next one. So I like this one. All right. The Rams will have a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense for the first time since 2001. I think that's in the cards. A better running game with a deeper running back room with Kyron Williams, I think, could lead the league in running back touchdowns if he stays healthy, and the way they could lean on him. And you got Jarquez Hunter, who can bring some nice explosive elements to this offense. I think that midway through the season, Terrence Ferguson's going to be a household name for Rams fans for sure. And I think Devontae Adams is going to be great. I really do. I really think that he's going to have a 1,000 to 1,300 yard season. And I think Puka Nacua is going to be Puka Nacua. So I think that this is going to be the most dynamic Rams offense we've seen in a long time, because you've got 2 1A, 1B type of receivers. You have an upgrade potential with a flex tight end that, look, I mean, think about this. I was thinking about this yesterday, Travis. Like, if the Rams are saying that they would have taken Terrence Ferguson if they had stayed at 26, right? And we know it's just talk, right? Especially after they get their guy. If they're saying that, if he was really taken at 26, well, 100% he'd be used, right? You don't use him. So I think that he's going to be featured. I think the running games will be good. I think this offensive line, if they stay healthy, they have the chance to be one of the best. And on the other side, I think it's the defensive line is going to be the star of the show.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the offensive line is the key to making that a top 10 offense. And you have the weapons, right? You have the wide receivers, you have the quarterback, you have a running back in Kyron Williams, who's proven that he's a 1,000-yard back. He's got a nose for the end zone, all that stuff. I'm with you on Ferguson. I think he's going to be an impactful addition as well. So if the O-line holds up, the offense will do what it's supposed to do. I really don't have a ton of questions on that. On the defensive side, I know the front's really good, like maybe one of the best, but beyond those front 4 guys, what's waiting for you back there? Who are the next 7, I think is the big question. And if those 7 guys are good, then yeah, I think maybe you can get a top 10 or 12 defense. If those guys are just okay, then it becomes a little bit different. Again, oddly enough, I think that puts the pressure back on the offense, because the way that you can make the back end of your defenses a lot better is have leads and not have them, you can let your front guys go get the quarterback knowing that they don't have to play against the run nearly as much. So the offense can help that secondary a great deal by giving them, double-digit leads in games late, and all of a sudden that pass rush becomes even more lethal. And I think that could be a top 10 unit for sure. I'm just a little skeptical of what's going on in the back end.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely correct in that it hinges on young players continuing to take steps forward, and you can't guarantee that, right? I mean, sometimes guys have more ceiling to find, and sometimes guys will plateau. Sometimes guys will regress, right? I mean, you just really never know. But I do think there's enough guys that have the potential to take leaps, that it's not just, relying on one guy to take a leap, right? It's like Kobe Turner's in his third year could still take a leap, right? I mean, some of these guys still have so much potential. And there's one guy that I think has a ton of potential that is going to lead the team in interceptions. Someone you would not guess. And we're going to talk about that next on Locked On Rams.
This episode of Locked On Rams is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. The NFL season is right around the corner, and you can feel it. The buzz is here. Fantasy football as well, right? Everyone's researching, drafting, building their championship squads. And if you haven't joined a league yet, now is the time. And it's all happening on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, I'm playing fantasy football on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you are a first-timer or a veteran creating your 1 millionth league. Yahoo Fantasy is loaded with fun ways to compete and brand new features that make the game even better. And with the season kickoff coming up in just one day, tomorrow, September 4th, now's the time to start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football, which offers so many fun ways to compete. You want to play instantly with friends? How about the new Draft with Friends mode? Prefer the classics? You can get your crew together, go head-to-head in a private league. And if you don't have a group, no problem. Join a public league. That is the easiest way to play. The NFL season kicks off tomorrow, September 4th, so do not wait. Start your league right now. Draft at yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. That's yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. Now I got FanDuel. Okay. The NFL season is just about here. We're just a day away, and FanDuel is making sure that you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Who doesn't like a can't-miss offer? I know I do. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You can go use them however you want to use them, right? FanDuel is awesome because it lets you bet however you like. Whatever fits you, they've got you covered. Player props, sure. Building a same-game parlay, I like those. Even jumping in live as the action unfolds, FanDuel's got it all. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or you're just keeping an eye on that fantasy lineup that we just talked about, right? So if you are ready to play, here's how you do it. You go to FanDuel.com. You get the FanDuel app right now at FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Okay, Travis. So I mentioned a player who I think is going to lead the team in interceptions this season, and I've got Emmanuel Forbes. Now, the reason I've got Forbes as my leader is Sean McVey's already said that they view their cornerbacks as having 4 starters, and Forbes is one of those guys, along with Kobe Durant and Darius Williams and Akella Witherspoon, and based on performance, he could get plugged in early, and this dude, as you know, he's got a nose for the football. This is a guy that in college had 14 interceptions, just 3 years at Mississippi State. He had 6 pick sixes. That's an FBS record. Some dudes, you just know, like, they know how to create turnovers. And for him, I think the issue was the scheme wasn't great for him in Washington. And also, he bulked up a little bit. He got yoked up a little bit. I think the body type kind of fits the NFL profile a little more. And I think that he's just this kind of project that the Rams have kind of secretly almost been working on, hoping that, hey, this is a first-round pick. Let's see if we can prove why.
Yeah, look, I think one of two things will be true. If Emmanuel Forbes leads this team in an interception, that means they're either having an incredible year or a terrible year. There's no middle, right? Because if he leads the team in interceptions with 2, that means that nobody's doing anything right, and the Rams defense is not doing what we're hoping that they're going to do. Now, if he leads the team with, 6, that's a totally different animal. I think that all of a sudden means that they're having a whole bunch of success and they're doing what you and I have been talking about, which is they're getting after the quarterback, and quarterbacks are having to get rid of the ball before they want to, make decisions that they don't want to make, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what an environment where he can thrive. I go back to what you said a second ago, Doug. I've always been a little hestant with guys that are that slight. It's just, I get it. Occasionally you'll have a guy that's thin, that's not, your prototypical, 6'2", 210-pound guy, but he's really, really narrow and slight and skinny, whatever you want to call him. I know he's a little bigger than he was a year ago, but he's still probably under that 170-pound mark. And the guys in this league that have been under 170 pounds and done really well is a pretty short list.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely just, I was like right behind him when he was on the scale, but just visually, he does look like he has. Maybe he's like 190 now. Who knows? You know what I mean? That'd be kind of interesting question. But hey, dude, how much you weigh? You know what I mean? Straight up. But I think it's relevant to him. It really is, because that has been the question about him. He's 6 feet, so it's not like he's Jose Altuve, right? Or, something like that. But like, he is not a short guy, right? He's not like a short king, but he is slight. He doesn't have that bulk on him. And I think that is kind of, we look at to the wear and tear of an entire season, being able to be physical. So it'll be interesting. But they're just, I think you look at the talent, right? I mean, I think like Akello Witherspoon and Darius Williams and Kobe Durant, like, okay, like if these guys are at their best, they can be average to above average cornerbacks in this league. But Emmanuel Forbes, if you look at his instincts and his highlights, if the light turns on, I think he has the highest ceiling out of this group.
I hope so. I want to go back to something. I kind of got a little stuck on something that you said. Short king is not a compliment, right? I mean, that always feels like, I know that we're trying to make it sound better than it is, but that's always one of those. Yeah, I don't know if king is meant in the.
I don't know. I think it's intended to be. I think it's intended to be like. I think just. My friends. I'm not gonna call any of my friends, but like John Sherman and Byron too. Yeah, they say it as a way of like, all right, we're gonna get out in front of this. You got
to lean into it. You know what I'm saying? And you can never lie. If you're 5'5", you got to just be 5'5". Don't say 5'7".
It's kind of like when someone says like they're living the dream. There's like pain in there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you're like, all right, man, let's just living the dream, man. It's like, oh man, I give the person a hug immediately. You know what I mean? Like the short king thing, it shows some love to the short kings. You know what I mean? Like, here's one too. Like, what's like the cutoff from like short king range? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it like 5'4", 5'5"?
You mean like the tallest short king?
Yeah, there you go. What's the tallest short king? You know what I mean?
5'6".
Yeah, I would say too, like 5'6" for the short king. Yeah.
I would say 5'6", because 5'7", you're just kind of short. You're not like whoa, but like under 5'7" is a little what's okay. Short king, like that becomes anyway. Emmanuel Forbes is not 5'5", so that's good news. He's 6 feet tall. He's just skinny. But I just wanted to clarify some of the terminology. I don't know if that's on like the combine or anything, but
I think it's a term of endearment. Like, I really do. So, what I mean? Shout out to all the short kings out there. You know what I mean? Like,
there you go.
I'm like 6. I think Travis Rogers like 6. You're like 6'5", right?
No, I'm not 6'5". I'm
like 6'3".
Yeah.
6'3" solid. My granddad was 6'3", and like he always like mentioned it all the time. He'd be like, when we were kids, he'd be like, how's the weather down there? That kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not a short king. No one's ever called me that. I kind of wish they would.
Yeah.
I'd have to be in the NBA or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And you can follow the People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers, at Travis Rogers. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.